Undoubtedly so, Ramatra's most important ability to learn is his Nemesis form. Let's break it down fully in this video. Hi, I'm Clowner and welcome back to another ability breakdown video where you guys can suggest an ability for me to break down and I'll do just that. Today we're looking at Ramattra's Nemesis form. This one is going to be slightly longer than usual, so do get comfortable. The Nemesis form is Ramattra's second form and it lasts 8 seconds. Displayed by both this circular bar around your crosshair and by the fact that it says 8 seconds. After this ability finishes, the ability will go on an 8-second cooldown before you can use it again.
In the Nemesis form, Ramattra will gain an extra 150 health points, of which this is actually armoured health. This will disappear once you go back to the Omnic form. By pressing the button bound to your Nemesis form again, it will cancel the Nemesis form and begin the cooldown sooner. When in the Nemesis form, your staff is removed, and so the normal primary fire from your staff is replaced by these bad boys that appear from your shoulder. This is the most misleading primary fire in the game, so pay close attention to everything you need to know here. It's called the Pummel, and it has a rate of fire of 0.6 seconds and does 60 damage per hit. Safe to say that it packs quite the punch, huh? Despite it being a punch, however, it is actually a projectile that is fired. I'll go more in depth on that in a little bit, but what this means is that it wields a surprising range that you can hit enemies from. You can see from this side view that it travels pretty darn far out in front of him. It is an ability that you can hit multiple people with if they are all in the 12-meter range of the ability, and despite me somehow forgetting to get a clip of it, the Pummel is a piercing ability, meaning it will go through all shield barriers, that being Reinhardt, Sigma, Winston, Symmetra, and Brigitte. It functions similarly to Reinhardt's hammer in the sense that Genji's deflect and Orisa spear spin will not reflect the damage, however they will block it. And also, Sigma's grasp and D.Va's defense matrix will not block it, and the punch will go right through. The part that I find most bizarre is this. Despite it not being able to be eaten by defense matrix and grasp, it can still be amplified by Baptiste's window. Meaning that it is a projectile similar to Sigma's accretion rock where it cannot be eaten. However, this one is broken with deflect, so it's very different from what we currently know. Things like Xayah's bubble will work interestingly with it also. If Xayah is bubbled, she will not directly take damage from it, however damage can still pass through and affect players behind it. And one final thing is that it does not travel through walls of any kind, including the ice walls of May. The first ability available in this mode is the same as before. His Ravenous Vortex is still usable in this mode as the same in his Omnic form. And his final ability is called Block. Ramattra will put his hands up, blocking his head hitbox and reducing the damage he takes by 75%. This is in place of his Void Barrier in the Omnic form. The Block is an interesting ability because it doesn't actually have a cooldown. For the duration of the Nemesis form, you can use the block however many times you want, for as long as you want to. However, one extra thing to note about it is that blocking reduces your movement speed by half, making you significantly slower. This block functions very similarly to Doomfist's block, however it does not provide the charge in return, just protection. Similarly to Doomfist, his block is a directional ability and only mitigates damage coming in from the front, not from any other direction. This block will only mitigate physical damage. Things that are easy to understand are things like bullets, but it does get a little more complicated than that. I'll compare two ultimates here. The first one is Hanzo's Dragon Strike. The damage of this comes from a physical entity, that being the two dragons, and so it can be mitigated. However, Sigma's ultimate, both the initial damage and the percentage damage that it deals are non-physical damage, and so the mitigation is fully negated, meaning it does fuck all. Another interesting example is Tracer's Pulse Bomb. For this one, the stick damage is the physical damage of the ultimate, so it mitigates the stick damage. However, the explosion damage does not come from a physical damage entity, and so it does not mitigate it. If you want me to make a video of everything that it does mitigate and everything that it doesn't, do let me know. Ramattra's block does not stop oncoming crowd control abilities in the same sense that Doomfist's block does not also. And an interesting thing to cover just quickly here is that when he changes forms from the Omnic into Nemesis, or even the Nemesis into the Omnic form, this does not count as a cleansing process. And so things like Ana's anti-nade effect
does not go away from changing forms. And finally, one last thing to consider is that your hitbox is significantly larger when in the Nemesis form, meaning that you are much easier to hit. If you have a specific ability you'd like me to cover on this series, drop it down below and I'll get back to you as fast as I can.